Frutiger Aero is an aesthetic that is frequently described as the future we were promised. This design was popular around 2004 to 2013, which is why it now hits like a tidal wave of nostalgia to Millennials and Gen Z. Frutiger Aero is a term coined off the combination of Swiss typeface legend Adrian Frutiger, referencing his clean, humanist fonts, as well as the Microsoft Windows Aero interface, with those glassy, reflective visuals and operating systems of the time. This was technology's attempt to make computers feel less like cold machines and more like a friendly, futuristic garden. Frutiger Aero is captivating in its abundant hopefulness. This was an era where tech wasn't the soul-sucking beast it can feel like today. It was the dawn of Web 2.0. There was a shift from clunky, bulky phones to sleek smartphones, and the world felt like it was on the cusp of something magical. With our survival of Y2K, tech was seen in a very positive light. We were resilient and the future was bright. We were striving towards a utopia. But why do people feel this way? Why was Frutiger Aero the future we were promised? If you grew up in the 2000s, you probably encountered Frutiger Aero daily in life. There were multiple places that had these designs. Operating systems like Windows Vista and Windows 7 had an Aero interface that featured glossy, transparent glass effects and vibrant wallpapers with nature elements like water droplets, auroras, and greenery. The default wallpapers, like glowing orbs or lush landscapes, and the use of the Frutiger font and UI elements cemented this aesthetic. If you happen to use Mac instead of PC, Apple's interfaces used glossy buttons, aqua-inspired textures, and reflective surfaces, also incorporating organic elements like water and light. The iconic aqua interface was popular, with its bubble-like buttons and vibrant icons. Even early smartphones featured designs that aligned with this. I remember watching Steve Jobs present the launch of the iPhone in 2007. This was absolutely wild. There were literal gasps in the audience when he was showing the scrolling functionality. The average normie consumer like myself had never seen something so mind-blowing that could work so seamlessly with the human hand. Versions 10 through 12 of Windows Media Player had flowing visuals with colorful patterns. Vibrant backgrounds evoked a sense of tech-enhanced nature. Similar elements were found in early versions of the iTunes Music Player. It was as digitally sleek as it got. In the Web 2.0 era, early social platforms like YouTube, MySpace, and Flickr used glossy buttons and rounded corners. Web 2.0 design emphasized user interaction with shiny, tactile elements. Platforms like WordPress featured similar themes. Frutiger Aero was also seen in video game consoles, with the Nintendo Wii being the most notorious. The Wii's menu had a clean white background, soft gradients, and playful, rounded icons. Wii Sports used lively, nature-inspired backgrounds with green fields and blue skies. Wii Sports Resort was the only game I had, and that was mesmerizing enough. If you were a legitimate gamer, unlike me, the Xbox 360 dashboard was filled with this aesthetic. There were so many vibrant green accents and smooth animations reflected across surfaces. The PSP and PlayStation 3 interfaces used wavy, fluid backgrounds. Though I'm less familiar with it, I can tell why people might find a lot of comfort and hope in these things. Advertisements for products like the iPod, Zune, or early smartphones often showcase glossy devices against vibrant nature-inspired backdrops. Microsoft's Zune campaign, with its animated organic visuals, is a prime example. Devices like the iPod Nano, Sony Ericsson phones, or transparent Game Boy Advance SP models used glossy finishes and vibrant colors. Toys like the iDog and Tamagotchis featured a ton of sleek design elements reflecting this aesthetic. People really liked digital pets during this era, and there was a deeper reason to this. Electronic music artists from this era echoed the aesthetic. These artists used these artful elements in their music videos and album covers. I saw a couple movies in theaters during this era that had elements of this aesthetic, one of which was B-Movie. Smooth, rounded animation and sequences of bees flying across across vibrant scenes of nature effectively captured this art. Very strange film though. Even at the time, I thought, man, this movie is just 2 minutes of bee puns followed by Jerry Seinfeld making a multi-million-dollar shitpost. Shortly thereafter, I also saw the movie WALL-E in theaters, and I was absolutely mind-blown. WALL-E presented the future using familiar design elements. The Axiom spaceship interiors showcase smooth, curved surfaces, translucent panels, and soft, radiant lighting. The interface designs aboard the ship mimic organic principles with buttons and glowing icons. Eve is the ultimate personification of the future's aesthetics. Meet the Robinsons was another animated futuristic film from this time that reflects Frutiger Aero through its depiction of a bright, optimistic future filled with sleek, rounded architecture, vibrant skies, and whimsical technology. The futuristic cityscape is clean and reflective, with flying cars, floating walkways, and colorful environments that feel high-tech and alive. Everything in this future feels playful and inviting. Technology feels friendly and intuitive, aligning with the hopeful worldview that defines the times. In James Cameron's Avatar, the world of Pandora is filled with glowing bioluminescence, floating water, floating mountains, and organic forms. All are rendered with a hyper-real clarity. The contrast and harmony between nature and tech in Avatar perfectly capture Frutiger Aero's core vibe. All of these elements had a certain sense of flow to them, and we did not even realize it was happening. We were so immersed in it that it didn't feel unusual. It felt natural. There are these two young fish swimming along, and they happen to meet an older fish swimming the other way, who nods at them and says, "Morning, boys. How's the water?" And the two young fish swim for a bit, and then eventually one of them looks over at the other and goes, "What the hell is water?" David Foster Wallace. Fish and marine life were a natural fit for Frutiger Aero's echoes of blending technology with the natural world. In digital spaces, fish appeared in screensavers like Windows' iconic aquarium animations, where vibrant, lifelike creatures glided across monitors, their fluid motion echoing an emphasis on effortless flow. This imagery spilled into physical products, particularly in soap dispensers, where fish designs adorned bathroom fixtures. These dispensers often featured translucent bodies filled with liquid soap and embossed with fish silhouettes. Fish are creatures of tranquility that reinforced a calming, almost meditative quality, making the act of hand washing feel like a small, harmonious ritual. Bathrooms became unexpected canvases for Frutiger Aero's influence. Fish decorations, from ceramic tiles with shimmering scales to shower curtains featuring underwater scenes. These elements, with their soft blues and greens, mirrored the digital wallpapers of Windows Vista or the glowing backgrounds of early iPods, creating a cohesive thread between the virtual and the physical. The fish, whether in a pixelated screensaver or a bathroom's decor, symbolized a world where technology and nature flowed together, unobtrusive yet ever-present. This immersion was so complete that audiences rarely questioned it, accepting the aesthetic's presence as a natural extension of their environment, only recognizing its distinctiveness in hindsight as nostalgia for its hopeless vibrancy resurfaced. The whole point with type is for you not to be aware it is there. If you remember the shape of a spoon with which you just ate some soup, then the spoon had a poor shape. Adrian Frutiger. The Frutiger Aero aesthetic gradually transformed into the Frutiger Metro aesthetic. The commercial for the original iPod foreshadowed this evolution. Smartphones and tablets becoming the dominant technology played a huge role in this shift. Frutiger Aero's interfaces for PCs felt less intuitive for touch interactions, which demanded simpler, more scalable designs. Users and designers needed cleaner, more efficient interfaces. The success of minimalist design systems like Apple's iOS 7 and Google's Material Design pushed the industry toward flat, grid-based aesthetics, influencing Microsoft to evolve its design language. Frutiger Metro had an emphasis on flat design, designs, bold, solid colors with no gradients, shadows, and 3D effects. There were minimalist palettes, flat colors, often primary hues or monochromatic schemes. It was typography driven with clean, sans serif fonts for clear hierarchy and readability. It had a focus on content with minimal decorative elements, emphasizing functionality. It featured grid-based layouts with modular, tile-based interfaces optimized for touch navigation. One of the most iconic examples of this design, and one of the major reasons it died out, was found in Windows 8. The start screen replaced Frutiger Aero's glossy desktop with a grid of flat tiles. Apparently, when you take the same kind of UI in Windows Phone 7 and 8 and integrate it into a computer's operating system, it will not sit well with Windows users. Windows 8 was ironically viewed as clunky, messy, and inefficient, causing most to revert straight back to Windows 7. Frutiger Metro has other names, sometimes referred to as Vector Metro or Vector Vomit. It stripped away the vibrant, optimistic energy that defined Frutiger Aero's nature-infused interfaces. This shift left many users yearning for a sense of wonder and human connection that earlier designs evoked. Metro's clinical approach often felt cold and utilitarian. This perception amplified nostalgia for Aero's vibe, as users missed the sense of tech as an inviting, aspirational space. The current aesthetic they viewed was not the future they believed they were promised. Metro's failure to endure was due to its lack of liveliness and practical issues. As a result, designers pivoted to minimalism as a broader industry trend toward scalability and cross-platform consistency. These retained only traces of Frutiger's legibility, and today, people are deeply nostalgic for Frutiger Aero. So why exactly does Frutiger Aero hit so hard? It's more than nostalgia. It's about what the designs represent. This aesthetic was a cultural moment, a snapshot of a time when technology felt like a partner in human progress. In the mid-2000s, the world was carrying a lot of its optimism from the late 20th century. The internet was young and exciting, connecting people in ways that felt revolutionary. Social media platforms like MySpace let you customize your page with sparkly GIFs and auto-playing music. Super tacky, but authentic and brimming with personality. YouTube was a scrappy platform where creators made skits that felt like they were made just for you. These were people like Smosh and this guy whose name I'm not saying. Frutiger Aero was the visual language of optimism. Its glossy textures and nature-inspired designs made tech feel like an extension of the world around us, not a sterile tool. It tapped into our need for familiarity and comfort. It was a bridge between the analog and digital, a warm hug from a machine. This aesthetic also shaped pop culture. Think of The Sims 3, where houses had glossy countertops and sparkling pools. Fashion caught the vibe with metallic flip phones and iridescent nail polish. For Millennials and Gen Z, Frutiger Aero is a symbol of childhood. It's the Windows Vista login screen glowing in your bedroom. It's the iPod blasting Fall Out Boy. It's the excitement of getting your first phone. It's the Wii menu chiming in the living room while you hear your parents fighting about their divorce amidst the recession. These memories are tied to a time when the future felt limitless. The 2008 financial crisis was a seismic shift that shattered the shiny glass of Frutiger Aero's optimism. As banks collapsed, home foreclosures skyrocketed, and millions lost their jobs, the world felt unsteady. Trust in Wall Street crumbled as people grappled with a harsh new reality. The utopian promise of Frutiger Aero started to feel like a fairy tale. It was beautiful, but out of touch with a society tightening its belt. Consumers shifted priorities. Economic uncertainty made them value efficiency over whimsy, favoring apps and interfaces that loaded fast and felt practical. Social media, once a playful MySpace haven of sparkly GIFs, turned algorithmic and utilitarian, reflecting a broader cultural pivot from dreaming to surviving. Frutiger Aero's promise of a harmonious, tech-driven future clashed with this new sobriety, marking the aesthetic's first major wound and fueling nostalgia for a time when tech just felt better. Frutiger Aero's decline mirrors a loss of innocence, a realization that the future we were promised came with trade-offs. The reason Frutiger Aero felt so refreshing is because it's full of life. It has water, light, wind, leaves, clouds, glowing gradients, transparent reflections. It was teeming with organic metaphors. Even when it was completely digital, it mimicked the natural world. It made our devices feel like they breathed with us. Skeuomorphism is a design concept in which digital interfaces mimic the appearance and functionality of their real-world counterparts. It involves using textures, shadows, and familiar visual cues to create a sense of familiarity and intuitiveness. For example, a digital notepad can resemble lined paper, and a calendar app can look like a leather-bound planner. By imitating physical objects, skeuomorphism helps users feel more comfortable navigating digital environments, especially when new technologies are introduced. Skeuomorphism has always been around. It exists in the physical world. Early electric cars like the Nissan Leaf featured gear shifters, designed to resemble traditional automatic transmission levers, despite the fact that electric vehicles don't require conventional gears. Modern vinyl record players often retain the aesthetic of 1970s turntables, complete with wood paneling and analog knobs, despite incorporating digital components like Bluetooth. Contemporary bank buildings often include classical Greek columns. Mechanical watches often feature intricate patterns on their dials, originally used to improve readability on pocket watches. These patterns are simply decorative, but they signal craftsmanship and precision. Synthetic leather used in car interiors, like in Tesla's seats, mimics the texture and appearance of real leather. Some modern furniture has a molded plywood frame, emulating the look of hand-carved wood despite being mass-produced. Wine bottles sealed with synthetic corks or screw caps may still feature a foil capsule around the neck, a remnant of lead seals used historically to protect corked bottles. Some electric motorcycles incorporate artificial engine noises that emulate the roar of gasoline-powered bikes. This auditory skeuomorphism provides riders with a familiar feedback, despite the absence of a combustion engine. Beyond objects, skeuomorphism appears in human behaviors that mimic outdated practices to preserve social meaning. The act of clinking glasses during a toast originated in medieval times to mix drinks and prove they weren't poisoned. Today, this gesture persists as a skeuomorphic ritual, symbolizing trust and camaraderie, even though its original purpose is irrelevant. Skeuomorphism was very apparent in Frutiger Aero. Buttons looked like buttons, sliders looked like sliders, glass looked like glass. Even music players and volume knobs were glossy and tactile, designed to evoke the physical tools they replaced. It made tech intuitive, comforting, and human. Frutiger Aero was bringing the outside world into the technology more than we'd ever seen before. But as devices got more powerful and screens got smaller, skeuomorphism started to feel cluttered. Flat design emerged as the sleek, scalable alternative. It was more efficient, more modern, and easier to develop for across platforms. It was more sterile than a dog that just got neutered. We lost something in that transition. What was once a playground of visual metaphors became a blank sheet. Apps today aren't shiny with bubbles. They don't invite you with the same warmth. Instead of vibrant gradients, we get beige. Instead of dynamic animations, we get infinite scroll. It is functional and works great, but it does not feel magical. People long for the era that did feel magical. Frutiger Aero was a style, but it was also a worldview. Frutiger Aero felt like hope. It felt like play. It felt like being part of something bigger, like a world where nature and tech were in sync. It showed us that the future was beautiful, harmonious, and alive with possibility, that we'd be flying through vibrant clouds on the backs of intuitive machines. That technology would enhance life. As the future unfolds and technology keeps advancing, we are reminded of the future that continues to be filled with possibilities. Frutiger Aero may belong to the past, but the feelings of curiosity and optimism that it gave us don't have to belong to the past. That spirit still lives in us. And maybe the next wave of technology doesn't have to abandon those things. It can build on them. This resurgence is already evident in the growing revival of Frutiger Aero inspired designs, often dubbed Neo-Aero, which weave nostalgic elements into modern contexts. It is a vibrant rebellion against the cold, flat interfaces dominating today's tech. Designers are reintroducing vibrant color palettes, soft gradients, and translucent glass-like textures in digital interfaces. We can see elements of this in the Notion app, as well as in Windows 11. There is a surge in fan-made art and mock-ups that recreate Aero's glossy, nature-infused aesthetic, blending it with contemporary minimalism to create interfaces that feel both nostalgic and fresh. This revival reflects a collective desire to recapture Aero's warmth and optimism, adapting its fluid, life-affirming visuals to new technologies like virtual realities and AI-driven platforms, ensuring that the future we were promised continues to thrive, inspiring a new generation to dream in vivid color. Nostalgia is often a compass pointing to what mattered. Frutiger Aero shows us that people want their tech to feel alive. We crave warmth, playfulness, and beauty, even in our machines. The interfaces we once swiped, clicked, and tapped on were both functional and joyful. They made us feel like the future was something we could touch. That future is still unfolding. AI, augmented reality, and spatial computing don't have to be these cold tools. We can design with emotion. We can design with soul. We can create a new aesthetic that feels just as human, just as full of life, just as hopeful. Because the future we were promised was all about wonder, and wonder is not going anywhere.